This episode was brought to you by the Secret Society of Adored Women.
Have you been tirelessly going on crap-tastic dates, having crap-tastic results with men, even spending a crap-tastic amount of time weeding through meh guys and fretting over the one who won't call you back or commit?
Join us for our Hush Hush group of like-minded, successful, badass single women from around the world, turning the dating scene on its head and creating scandalously magical romantic experiences that you will cherish forevermore.
But beware, your love life and life will never be the same again.
Meet us over at thesecretsocietyofAdoredWomen.com.
You are listening to Single Smart Female.
This is Jen,
And Jen,
letting it all hang out for your love life.
examining your dating experiences and answering your hot topic dating questions.
Just you and us. Jen squared. No topic is off limits and no filters involved.
We are here to help you do dating on your terms.
If you have a question you would like us to answer or would like to immediately upgrade your love life with our collection of classes and exclusive merchandise, meet us over now at singlesmartfemale.com. Hello, Single Smart Female. It is Jen, one coming to you today with a Single Smart Female listener question, all the way from Texas. And this is Miss in need of a good roll between the sheets, who is 62. Dear Jen, I'm 62 and I haven't had a relationship in 10 years to speak of. I'm told men find me intimidating because I carry myself like I have a lot of confidence when I am in fact a tad insecure. I'm told I look 40 even though I'm 62 and have a beautiful and huge heart. Well, then why can't I find a guy? There is a guy that I do have interest in, and we've only spoken through Facebook, and he has said twice that we need to go out soon, and I agreed. His mother passed away a week ago. I'm assuming that he is still out of town. My question is, should I just go ahead and give him my number even though he hasn't asked, or should I wait? I'm not very patient, and I'm always overthinking everything. Lots more to say about my insecurities with men, but I don't want to write a book. I love your podcast and listen regularly. Help, looking for love in all the places. And I might throw in that I haven't had sex in 2.5 years, in a desperate need of a good roll between the sheets. Okay, so Miss, in need of a good roll between the sheets, should you give him your phone number? I'm not sure. There's a couple of questions that you're going to actually have to ask yourself first. First off, I'm not that it never happens, but I'm not a huge fan of the meeting people over social media. I tend to see a lot more catfishing that way. It's really just kind of an odd thing unless you know somebody that knows him for sure. I'm not a huge fan, but it doesn't mean, again, that you definitely should. But there's actually bigger factors here that we need to talk about more so than should you give him your phone number. And that's the next part I wanted to talk about. You mentioned that you're very impatient and you're always overthinking things. Now, I want to explain something. I love the fact that you're 62. I love the fact that you've been told that you look younger and you feel younger. And I know you talked about being a tad insecure. Girlfriend, first I'm going to tell you, every fucking woman is insecure on some level. It's just what we do with those insecurities and how we start to actually just turn them off, because most of our insecurities are actual bullshit. They're just legit lies that we tell ourselves over and over again. And if you're thinking at this point, well, why do people tell me this as well? Other people have confirmed this for me. Well, there's a direct connection in what you believe and what you'll hear out of other people's mouths. So just start to tell your insecurities to shut up. We can talk about insecurities in another episode, but just understand too that all women have a certain level of insecurity. Now let's talk about the men find me intimidating thing. And you're saying people have told you it's because of the way that you carry yourself with confidence. And I'm going to call bullshit. I do think you probably carry yourself with confidence, and I think it's a good thing, and do not stop it. But that's not why men find you insecure. I'm sorry. That's not why men find you intimidating. Men most likely find you intimidating because of the energy of impatience and overthinking things. That's a fucking energy that we use as women. We don't realize that we're using it to shut shit down between us and other people. And it's a great way to start hyper-focusing on men. Even if we think we're not doing it that much, it's a nasty habit that we have. So it's something that I think you definitely need to start reconsidering. Not this fact that the way you carry yourself. You don't always carry yourself with confidence, even if you don't feel confident. I don't want you as an adored woman to walk around looking like you have no confidence because you're afraid men are going to find you intimidating. Bass backwards, as we say in these parts. So, again, something I really want you to take into consideration is that most men are probably misinterpreting your energy and your impatience and your tendency to overthink things as intimidating. So that's why it's very important to understand, too, that the adored woman process isn't an instantaneous process. This whole dating thing isn't an instantaneous objective that you should have. I want to make it very clear that becoming an adored woman, it's a process where everything you do builds, even if it's with different men, it's building on different skill sets, mindset, and habits that you have that are taking you into this world of an adored woman where you're opening up to receiving all the things that you've ever wanted. And we are dismantling all of the shit and the bad habits and the crap that's going on in our head and all those things and just tearing them apart because they don't really serve us. They're not doing shit for us. We are being lied to continuously. There's a narrative of smart women aren't going to be able to find the love that they want. Smart women can't. They have to choose between careers and actually finding love. If you're too insecure, you can't find love. If you're too this, you can't find love. If you're too confident, you can't find love. It's all a bunch of candy-coated bullshit. And we start dismantling it. Now, when women come to me, sometimes that sets up the idea in their head, well, I'm going to have to get through all of this first before I'll find love. And no, that's not true either. Just by the mere act of starting to redo what's going on with you mentally and then incorporating that into your adored woman habits and your adored woman behavior and learning to engage with men differently, all of a sudden, you've switched a lot of that off. So even if you still have lingering insecurities, things like that, you can still have the most incredible love life. You don't have to fix everything first in order to have an amazing love life. I want to make that very, very, very clear. Now, we're going to move into the whole thing about sex and not having sex in 2.5 years, which adds a component to impatience. All right, first off, if you haven't had sex in 2.5 years, you have a couple of options. You need to, if you haven't been, you need to be taking care of yourself. All right, some of the best sex we can ever have. I mean, sex with men, of course, is amazing, but you also need to be having some of the best sex you've ever had with yourself. All right, and taking care of those sexual needs. Also, getting massages, things like that, having physical touch is truly important. It is a necessity for most people. So have some of that into your life. You can also come over. I can help you more with that at singlesexualfemale.com. But start there before that. The second option, I don't actually recommend taking this man as a lover, but you can take a lover. I recommend with women who want to take a lover. I have a recent client, and this works really well for her. She has a very amazing libido, and while she was dating, she wanted all that physical connection. She took a much, 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 much younger lover so that she wouldn't develop all of the romantic, I want to be with him for the rest of my life feelings, as, you know, she was satisfying a physical need. And definitely listen to my other podcasts on how to take a lover to give you more insight into that. But those are two really, really good options. From what you're telling me, you said that you were feeling desperate. It's really important that you don't head into a guy that you really like and have sex with them just because you're feeling sexually desperate. That's a recipe for hyperfocus obsession and You guys might have an off-the-charts sex night, but that energy will get weird after you guys have sex because your energy is going to come into play with it, and that shit will push him away and set you up for feeling fucking crazy. Do you remember the movie Wedding Crasher? That's a good setup for a stage 5 clinger. Anyhow, okay, if you know that reference, there you go. So my last piece that I want to discuss with you, Miss in Need of a Good Roll Between the Sheets, is I want you to stop seeing yourself as desperate. When you see yourself in a certain way, that is a choice. Now, granted, it might be a very well-ingrained choice, but you still have a choice to change that. You're not desperate because you haven't had sex in a couple of years. That doesn't make you desperate. It might make your body feel a little out of whack, like when I'm ovulating and my husband is, traveling for work or something. I feel a little nutty. I get it. I totally get it. But there are ways that you can take care of yourself. And it's important for you to tend to those needs because you're not indeed desperate. And all of these insecurities that you were talking about with men, you're going to be the one that has to start seeing yourself differently if you want men to see you differently. Too many women rely on men in order to change how they feel about themselves, but they create this loop, this vicious fucking loop where they get a little bit of the validation. And so all of a sudden they feel good for a little bit, but then if the attention changes a little bit, they have to go find the validation again with either that man or another man instead of looking internally for the validation. Now, there is nothing wrong, and when I work with women, I use instances with men to help escalate that validation process, but it can't be an exclusive loop of just validation from him. You have to be willing to see your romantic worth and how amazing you are, or we're going to be, running in circles, not getting to the things that you really want in life. Because I don't give a shit if you've been single for 10 years. That doesn't mean you can't have everything that you want romantically. You just have to start to break down and reestablish the pieces to see yourself as the adored woman that you really are. So wrapping all of this up today, honestly, we're all insecure. That's important to note, but you can start choosing to not be insecure. You can start reinforcing how you want to see yourself. Impatience is going to kick you in the ass a lot. It's not an adored woman habit. Learning to understand that the best things, they don't have to take forever by any means, but that you're building on things, and sometimes it feels it's just a minor shift, and then all of a sudden you'll have a quantum shift. It'll keep handing you the different things you want in life is going to be game-changing if you accept that and you are okay with that. Important you don't see yourself as desperate, because desperate energy is a huge turnoff for most men. And finally, it's important that you give yourself permission for things to start going well in your love life. And coming back to the original question of should you give him your phone number, until you start addressing some of these other things and actually building your mantourage, which is something that you definitely should do, and you should do through online dating instead of just meeting people over Facebook. You can go to, I'll give you the first 2 chapters of my online dating program for free at helpmeonlinedate.com. That's where you're going to start. And you are going to work on creating your mantourage and putting something together and addressing your own insecurities so that you can step into the world that you were meant to be in, becoming an adored woman. Okay, lover girl, it's time for the final thought on today's show. Impatience is never an adored woman virtue. This episode was brought to you by the Secret Society of Adored Women.
Have you been tirelessly going on crap-tastic dates, having crap-tastic results with men, even spending a crap-tastic amount of time weeding through meh guys and fretting over the one who won't call you back or commit?
Join us for our Hush Hush group of like-minded, successful, badass single women from around the world, turning the dating scene on its head and creating scandalously magical romantic experiences that you will cherish forevermore.
But beware, your love life and life will never be the same again.
Meet us over at thesecretsocietyofAdoredWomen.com. Hey, Lover Girl, this is Jen again. Don't forget to subscribe to the show in your favorite podcast app, as well as share Single Smart Female with all of your single smart girlfriends. And if you would like to play around and learn more about man-tourage dating, come see me at singlesmartfemale.com. Talk to you next time.